Welcome to the tale of the landlady. A tale of deep suspense. Your program will now begin.
Billy Weaver had traveled down from London in the slow afternoon train. With a change at reading on the way in, by the time he got to bathe, it was about 9 o'clock in the evening, and the moon was coming up out of a clear starry sky over the house's opposite station entrance. But the air was deadly cold, and the wind was like a flat blade of ice on his cheeks.
Excuse me, but is there a fairly cheap hotel not far away from here?
Try the Bell and the Dragon. They might take you in. It's about a quarter of a mile along the other side.
Billy thanked him and picked up his suitcase and set out. He had never been to bathe before. He didn't know anyone who lived there. But Mr. Greenslade at the head office in London had told him it was a splendid town. Billy was 17 years old. He was wearing a new navy blue overcoat, a new triply hat, and a new brown suit, and he was feeling fine. He walked briskly down the street. He did everything briskly these days. Briskness, he had decided, was the one common characteristic of all successful businessmen. There were no shops on the street, only a line of tall houses on each side, each identical. He could see that the paint was peeling from the woodwork. The windows were cracked and blotchy from neglect.
Sorry. How peculiar.
Suddenly, a downstairs window that was brilliantly illuminated by a street lamp not far away. Billy caught sight of the notice propped up against the window pane.
Breakfast in bed?
There was a vase of chrysanthemums, tall and beautiful, just noticeable. Green curtains were hanging on both sides of the window. There was a very welcoming fireplace. In one corner there was a large bird cage.
Animals are usually a good sign in a place like this. It looks pretty decent to me.
Billy reached for the old-fashioned doorbell. Far away he heard a bell ringing. The door opened, and a woman was standing there. It was like a jack-in-a-box. She just popped out.
Oh, Jilly Winkers! You almost gave me a heart attack!
Now for a short commercial break. We will be back in a moment.
Come get the brand new Bouncy Ball 9000. It has supersonic bouncy powers. Powers. If you throw it against the wall, it will bounce back. It even works if you throw it on the floor. Floor.
We're not responsible for any injuries or side effects it may occur.
Now back to the program. The landlady.
I saw the notice in the window. I was wondering about a room.
It's all ready for you, my dear.
How much do you charge?
5 and 6 pence a night, including breakfast.
It was fantastically cheap, more than willing to pay.
I would very much like to stay here.
I knew you would. Do feel comfortable.
She seemed terribly nice, like a second mother. Billy took off his hat and stepped over the threshold.
Just hang in there. Let me help you with your coat. I am always ready for visitors.
They climbed up the stairs to the second floor.
This floor is mine.
They climbed up to the third floor.
This floor is yours. Do you like it, Mr. Perkins?
It's Weaver. Billy Weaver.
Mr. Weaver, how nice. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much.
I'm so glad you appeared. I was beginning to get worried. And what about supper, my dear boy? Did you eat anything before you came?
I'm not a bit hungry, thank you. I'll just go to bed.
Very well, then. I'll leave you to unpack. But before you go to bed, will you pop into the sitting room to sign the book? It's our law, and we don't want to break it now, do we?
The fact that this landlady appeared to be off her rockers didn't worry Billy a bit. She wasn't harmful and not strict.
I suppose I should go downstairs now. Oh, and look, the book is all ready for me to sign, with a pen and everything.
He took the pen and wrote down his name and address. He looked at the two people's names who came before him.
Christopher Mulholland and Cardiff and Gregory W. Temple from Bristol. I think I might have heard these names before.
Sad, charming boys. Do you know them?
Billy turned around to face the landlady, who was holding a silver tea tray, only it wasn't a single teacup and a pastry.
They somehow sound familiar. Maybe they're famous.
Famous, no. Incredibly handsome, though. Tall and young, just like you. Time flies, doesn't it, Mr. Wilkins?
It's Weaver. Weaver.
Oh, of course. Silly me. Now come over here and have some tea and biscuits.
Billy tried to explain that somehow he seemed to know Mulholland and Temple. But instead the landlady turned off the light switch so the fire lit up the room and poured Billy some tea.
There we are. Nice and cozy, isn't it?
Sure.
Billy started to sip his tea. He knew she was looking at him, so he tried not to show his discomfort, but every so often he caught a whiff of a peculiar smell that seemed to enchant directly from her person. He wasn't sure what it was. Pickled walnuts? New leather? Or was it the corridors of a hospital?
So I suppose they left recently?
Oh no, they're still here. 4th floor. Both of them.
The lady smiled. She rested her hand on his knee.
17 years?
Oh, it's the perfect age. Mulholland was 17 as well. But as for Temple, he was a little older. 28 to be precise. His skin like a baby's.
Billy, wanting to change the subject, looked around the room. His eyes came across the parrot cage.
That parrot. I could have sworn it was alive. It doesn't look the least bit dead. Who did it?
Oh, I did.
You did?
Of course. Have you met my little Basil as well?
Is it stuffed? The dog as well?
The dog had been awfully still and silent. Billy touched the dog's back. It was cold and hard as stone, perfectly preserved.
Gracious me! How fascinating! It must be awful hard to do that.
Not a bit. I stuffed all my love pets when they die. Another cup of tea, Mr. Weaver.
No, thank you.
Did you sign the book?
Oh, yes.
That's good. I might just forget your name.
Excuse my asking, but haven't there been any guests here except for them in the last 2 years?
No, my dear. Only you.
Thank you for listening to the Landlady Tale of Suspense.